Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm super excited to be here with you today. How are you doing? What progress have you made? So many times when I talk to graduates, they say, I haven't been practicing as much as I should, or I've gotten off track. I've had this going on, but yet they show up every time and they're still practicing. So even if you have practiced once a month, if you've practiced twice a month, if you've practiced every day, give yourself grace and patience. So thank you for being here and for listening to this. I am super excited to be offering a private podcast to all of my Silva Method Atlanta and Western North Carolina graduates and anyone who has found their way to my graduate list from other instructors. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I really have so much gratitude for you being here. I have so much joy and purpose in guiding people with this practice of the Silva method. It has been a part of my life now for exactly 40 years. So this year, 2025, is a big year. I've been a practitioner for 40 years since my mom introduced me to the Silva method when I was 9. And I am celebrating my 5th year of being an instructor. It has been the best decision I've ever made. I love it. I love everything about it. I love everyone I meet, and everyone I have met has been an instructor to me. We learn from each other when we are with like minded individuals. We lift each other up. We're in that vibration of self growth and open to self growth. Honored to provide this private podcast. We'll be talking about a lot of different things. I want to kick this series off with the exercises and tools that we learn in Silva Life and Intuition. Take a moment and reflect where you're at now, acknowledge where you're at now versus where you were when you first walked into class. Take knowledge of how things have progressed. Have they changed any? Have you gotten more information? Or have you learned anything? Have you grown? It is in our nature to grow and change. And when we are in a cycle of growth, things seemed very unorganized and almost like, where am I at? If you're moving your living space from one place to another, what happens? It's like you've got boxes everywhere. You have no idea where anything is. Maybe it's a new city or town and you're not even sure where the nearest grocery store is, or maybe you only know where the grocery store is and nothing else. So things are really unorganized. But as you get settled, as you get more centered, as you get more still and really thinking about what it is you're doing, and what box you need to unpack or where you need to figure out to go. And then you do it over and over again. It becomes a skill, right? As you've unpacked all of your boxes and you put them in their place, you create new routines around your new living space. You also start to learn where everything is. So the more you drive there, the less you need your Waze or Google Maps. That's how it is when we first learn our Silva tools. It's like drinking from a fire hose when you first go through the 4-day immersion. I know it is a lot, but being in an immersive experience, we actually learn more by nature of being together with our mirror neurons and our vibration. We also learn exactly what we need. So there may be some things that if I told you all of them today, you may say, huh, I don't remember you talking about X, Y, and Z. That's what happened to me years ago with hand levitation. When I first took the Silva method, it was the basic lecture series. And then when they upgraded to the new material, my mom and I upgraded in 2015 with Ken Kasha. I went up to him and I said, that hand levitation, it was not in the basic lecture series. He looked at me and said, Amy, it's always been there. I didn't resonate with it at the time. That was not on my vibration. Since then, I've used it. I understand it more. I love it. That may be the case for you. There may be some exercises that you weren't ready for, or you just, which is totally okay. You're always in control. It's your experience when you are in the immersion. So, now that it's also easy to meditate and practice those skills during those 4 days because you've set that time aside. You're totally focused, totally committed. You're consistent in showing up for class on time every day. When we are consistent, committed, and focused, we're able to get more done, to be in the flow. Then we go home. We have our two manuals and we get back in the swing of things, right? We wake up for work. We take the kids to school. We take the dog for a walk, handle all of the things that our daily routine throws at us. Then we say, wait a minute, I was meditating 3 times a day for 4 days during my immersion, and I can barely find time for one. So start small, right? Start in the morning when you first wake up. Choose one meditation. Maybe it's the long relax. That long relax is always there for you. It is a guided meditation. You have the download. If you took the immersion with me, you have the download from myself and my voice. If you took it from anyone else, you have the download in your instructor's voice. And so you've got it anytime you need to reset. If you're experiencing a health challenge, use the long relax. Anytime you say, I've got this problem and I don't know what exercise to use, start with the long relax and then go from there. So you always have that. Maybe it's mirror of the mind in the morning. Maybe it's in the evening with glass of water. Just start with one and practice consistently. Be committed, be consistent, focus on that one exercise, and be open to what comes in and curious. Avoid placing value on the information that comes in. Instead of saying, I don't know about that, I'm gonna push that away. Avoid placing value and be curious about it. Experiment with it. How do we know our intuition is correct? We know by putting it into action. It's the only way we're going to know, by taking that intuitive leap of faith. So just be open and journal about it. When we are writing down our goals, our experiences, our aha moments, our meaningful coincidences, we are generating that from our mind to paper. So actually, we are putting it into physical reality. This is something called the generational effect. When you write something down, you're more likely to achieve your goals. You're more likely to continue working on your projects because you've written them down. It's there, it is now written. You're more likely to keep going. So write it down, because in those moments where you need some proof that you can keep going, you've got it. You've got it written in your journal, written in your notebook, whatever it is. Or again, if you need proof, you can always just revisit the progress you've made and sit for a moment in that moment of excellence. Lock it in with your 3 fingers, right? So, a lot of times graduates have asked me, there's so many techniques, I'm not really quite sure which one is for what. I'll give you a brief rundown. The very first day of Silva Life System, we really focus on managing our energy and some foundational things. If we do not set a good foundation, it's going to be harder for us to move forward and really focus on those intuitive instances and to have more of them and to pay attention and to know what's the difference that makes the difference. So, our energy management system, if you will, is the sleep control technique. Use the sleep control technique. It helps you to enter sleep faster and easier without the use of drugs or any type of sleep aids. And if you wake up in the middle of the night, say maybe you use sleep control, and then you wake up in the middle of the night, when you go back to sleep, you sleep control again. So you can use it as much as you need. If you have been having difficulty sleeping and relying on sleep aids for a really long time, and you use this technique, the more you use it, you are telling your brain, hey, every time I'm ready for sleep, I'm going to do this. Until finally, all you'll need is to take a deep breath. Maybe you just say 3 to 1 and you're asleep. It gets the message, right? So, sleep control, alarm clock method. When you need quick wins, use the alarm clock technique. It'll work every time, I promise. In fact, it'll work if you do it. I promise it'll work if you practice it. If you don't practice it, I can make no promises. When you're practicing the alarm clock technique, you are being very focused in directing your mind at the time you want to wake up. Even if you just want to play with it, you can, right? Also, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you've set your alarm clock for 7 a.m. and it's 2 a.m., and instead of saying, oh, my alarm clock didn't work, you had to take care of a need. Give yourself grace and patience. When you go back to sleep, before going back to sleep, reset your alarm clock. Use sleep control if you need. Alarm clock is always that first thing you do before sleep control. Sleep control is always the last thing you do. And then you have the awake controls, so energizing those little alpha breaks when you're feeling tired and sleepy throughout the day, or maybe you're not feeling quite yourself and you've got a lot of stuff to take care of. Just take about 5 minutes and use the awake control technique. Also, when you're driving, that's a good one to use every single time. I've used it many times. And then dream control. Dream control works with what our body already naturally does, dream. We all dream. However, a lot of us have difficulty recalling our dreams. So this helps with controlling our use of mind and remembering our dreams. And we can get those quick wins. Oh, I'm remembering my dreams. That's progress. And then we're using our dreams to help us solve a problem. Also, the glass of water technique. We need water to live. Water, it's molecular, it's alive, just like us, and it's a highly changeable substance and subject. The glass of water technique is a problem solving tool using something we naturally need. And when we are giving ourselves water, we're helping ourselves, especially at night. We use a lot of water at night, just like when we're exercising. So using the glass of water as a way to program that water to help you find the solution while you sleep or during your day the next day. And everything has a cycle. So we always want to complete the cycle. We drink half the water before bed using the glass of water structure. And in the morning before we get up, we drink the other half. We complete the cycle using the glass of water structure. So not only can glass of water help us find a solution or find an answer to a question, if you're using any of the other techniques or you happen to receive feedback on something you're working on and you're not sure about that feedback, you need more clarity, you can use glass of water to get clarity on that feedback. If you are using mirror of the mind and you don't have all the details or information for your solution image, you can use glass of water to get some clarity. And then we dive more into our problem solving techniques using visualization and imagination. The second day of Silva Life System, we look at the mental screen. Our mental screen is a structure we can use to visualize and imagine. And Mr. Silva, when creating all of these structures, Our brain responds to structure. Our brains respond to frameworks because it makes it easier for our brain to use resources in a very ecological way. The brain does not like to use a lot of energy to do things. It wants to take the path of least resistance. So when we're using a framework, like using a framework with the 3-to-1 method, our brains already naturally know counting. We know counting down, we know counting up. We don't have to use a lot of thought process there. So it's very easy on us, right? Frameworks really help to take the stress out of something new. It helps us to relax more. Mr. Silva also created this structure so that we know we have a choice. We have that natural choice ability. We have the choice to change what we're thinking. We have the choice to stay or go. We have the choice to do something different. We always have that choice, even when it feels like we don't. Sometimes when we feel that way, it's because the choice is really difficult. Sometimes by doing those hard things, doing those difficult things, we create those frames of reference for us that we can do hard things, we can make difficult decisions, but we always have the choice to make those decisions that are best for us. So that structure is there for more thought control, our mental screen. And then we have our memory pegs. Memory pegs are a really good thing to use because it is a structure and because it takes visualizing something we've had experience with before. So those memory pegs, those images of the memory pegs, and then something that we want to remember. We've had experience with that, and then we put them together and we form something new. And it helps us to strengthen that imagination response. Then we looked at our 3 fingers technique. That 3 fingers technique is the way to access those alpha theta states anytime we need them when we're taking action in our day. We already dip into alpha many times throughout the day. And this just strengthens that response. Anytime you need to tune into someone, anytime you need to tune into your environment, anytime you need to tune into a solution image you've already created on a goal you're working on, anytime you need to tune into a resource state, that point of reference that you have within yourself that you can do it, that moment of excellence, you can tune into. It's like putting the antenna up, right? Or putting in that GPS point. So it is a really good learning tool, right? We use 3 fingers for being able to remember information read, heard, be able to recall it for test taking. It's really good for kids. And then we have mirror of the mind and habit control, using mirror of the mind for habit control and further using your imagination skills. So, in whatever way you can sense visually, auditorily, kinesthetically, maybe through your sense of smell, in whatever way you can sense and experience you can imagine. And then we dive more into my very favorite technique, the laboratory and counselors, which is like just going to your mental workplace and being able to solve any problem, get any type of information you need. And it is a really cool technique. You can combine other techniques with laboratory and counselors technique too if you want. The laboratory and counselors are a mental projection because you are mentally projecting yourself to your laboratory with your counselors and solving problems. And then days 3 and 4, diving more into intuition, awakening your intuition, all of those mental projection exercises, the metals, the plants, the animals. When we did our human anatomy mental projection, All of those are very important. Spend time mentally understanding how you experience them. We have so much experience with them in our physical world. We have less time in the mental world because the experience is going to be different. When we understand that, we start to understand the language of our mind. That language of our mind is like our fingerprint. It is unique to us and only we can understand it. As we start receiving that language of our mind through intuition, we start to look at the contrasts and compare, contrast the feedback that we get, and start to understand the difference that makes the difference in when we are accurate and correct with our intuition, or maybe when we're way off. Every experience you have is important because if you are accurate and correct, you know that when you experience the language of your mind in that way again, it's spot on. So instead of thinking, oh, I was way off, I was wrong, that is information for you that when you experience the language of your mind in that way, you might need to go in a different direction. So that is important. Every experience you have is important to you. And we dive into the holo viewing technique, which is mirror of the mind, and it is a way to generate that emotion. It's the emotion of something that really makes that imprint on our brain. So, holo viewing at night, we're able to release that problem, release that worry, make that solution image, and then be open to information coming in. And then finally, we experienced our health case working technique to understand more the language of our mind when we're accurate and correct, and to send gratitude, healing, love to someone. That act of gratitude, putting ourselves in a position of sending love, because that is what it is all about, y'all. It is all about the love for ourselves, the love for others, the love we have for the community that we live in, the family that we're in. When we're able to tune into that love, when we're able to tune into that gratitude, we're able to shift our perspective. We're able to shift our attitude. We're able to be more in alignment. Because when we are taking action from a place of gratitude, a place of love, then we are sending that out like a boomerang and we're going to get it back. We're going to get that information back, right? If you're taking action on a project, even if you're in alignment with the goal, but if you're taking action on a project that you're working on, and that action is done with an attitude of, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I hate doing this. Or, oh, this person I'd rather not deal with, but I've got to in order to get to the next thing. Give gratitude in whatever way you can. Because if you are in a negative space, the last thing you want to do is use that negative energy to take action on the goals that are so important for you. So, how can you shift that energy? We have so many pattern interrupters that we can use. We can use cancel, cancel, right? Cancel, cancel is just the more we say cancel, cancel, the more we're telling our brain we don't want to think that way. We want to think in a different way. We need to shift our thinking. Does it make the problem go away? No. Does it make the current situation go away? No. However, it helps us shift from a worry state to a more productive state with our energy on what we do want. How can we make it even just a little bit better? We also have our ideal place of relaxation, a place we've already been before. That's a pattern interrupter. Anytime you need it, you can go to level and just project your mind to your ideal place of relaxation. We also have mirror of the mind. It is a pattern interrupter because we're interrupting the pattern that we're in and we are creating a GPS point for it so that we can journey away from it into something that we want. I hope this has helped. I have had a lot of interest around the 28 days to making Silva a habit, where you're actually really focusing on those Silva skills. I have included the download for you, and that download may change in the future, but it is a download that you can use. You have 3 weeks for each of the 4 weeks for the 28 days. So you have a good, better, best for each one. And you get to choose whichever week you want to follow. If you want to jump in between the weeks, do that too. It's totally up to you. Even just doing one thing over and over again will help you get into that habit. I've created that for you, and be on the lookout because I will be doing a private podcast over the 28 days to making Silva a habit here in the future. So you will have it. You can always listen to it. I hope this has helped make your day better. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Bye.